This is the Animal Agenda. I'm Tom Kiesche, and this week our guest is Katie Brennan, again from the Search Dog Foundation. Today, we're discussing all things Search Dog, and we're having her back because we want to talk about the tests that we do to identify Search Dog candidates. Hello, Katie. Welcome back.
Hey, Tom. Thank you. Great to be back.
So happy to have you again. And last time we talked about what breeds are appropriate and what you're looking for and the ages. And I just want to hit back on that because that's so important. What are the ages of the candidates that you're looking for?
Yeah, so we're looking for dogs that are about 1 to 2 years old, a little bit younger, 9 to 10 months, 11 months is probably okay. Much older than 2, we have to start to think a little bit harder because the process for our training is about a year. And then the process after that, once they're matched with their forever permanent handler, is an additional year. So we really want to be sensitive to that.
And we didn't, or at least I don't recall talking about like a minimum age on the first time you were on the show. So is there a too young is too young for the program?
Yeah, so for in general, starting as a search dog, puppies are great, love it, love young kids coming out and just kind of seeing what it's all about. But for our particular program, just the way it's designed, really that year is kind of our minimum. Again, I mentioned 9 to 10, 11 months is probably okay. What we really want to see is that the dog is mature enough to potentially handle some of the physical things that are involved in this training, because it is very, very physical, but also, again, young enough to have a really lengthy career, as long as possible.
Awesome. So if you didn't hear part 1, please go listen to it on the KPFK archives. But we're going to try to say enough here that this is all-inclusive. So you're looking for toy-driven, ball-crazy type dogs. Dogs with a high toy drive that you can then change it from toy to finding a person to getting their reward. So real briefly, just maybe recap that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the dogs that we're looking for, we mentioned age and all that good stuff. These are the dogs that they are nice dogs at heart, no severe behavioral or environmental concerns. They are confident in new locations. And really the gist of it is they are friendly, they are good. They just are a lot, and they're going to potentially drive somebody crazy in a walk a day, some fetch in the yard type of home setting. So with that in mind, we want to take their natural gifts, their gifts of being maybe a little annoying with the toy and wanting to play constantly, no matter where they are and what time it is. And we want to take those gifts and transform them into finding live humans buried in a disaster site.
I mean, I'm just, every time we talk about this, I just get so like, they're superheroes. They're superheroes. It's like a living superhero story. And as a volunteer that helps find these dogs, I feel like I'm part of the origin story of some of these superheroes. So we did touch on this last show, and we're going to only recap for a little bit before we move forward, but I think it's important. How do you accept candidates? How far away can candidates be? And where do you find these candidates?
Yep. So we accept candidates from all across the country. We haven't gotten any yet, but we've looked in Canada and looked in Mexico. And so basically, if it's possible for the dog to get here, we are going to try. We are all about that. In terms of where they come from, our candidates come mostly from shelters and rescues. We do have some candidates that come from, service dog organizations or other type of working roles that maybe aren't a fit for that. We always love those partners as well. But yeah, shelter and rescue is pretty much our main focus at this time, with, of course, some amazing other career change partners in mind. And the goal of it, again, is to find these guys a place where they are going to use their gifts for good, and really help make a difference in, hopefully, some lives out in the world.
They're amazing animals who are often just or misunderstood, I should say, who are people don't see them for the intellect that they have or the passion that they have for play or work. To me, it's fascinating. Before we go too much further, I just want to say that while I volunteer for several animal organizations, I am speaking and asking questions as an individual in my own individual capacity. And let me also say that I have recommended a few shelter dogs to SDF over the years. I've made a few mistakes with some of the tests. A few of my dogs have gone into the program. And once I got the opportunity to tour the campus and attend a scouting recruitment seminar. So those are my little disclaimers. I wanted to talk about the training, and that's all new this time.
Yeah.
And what the tests are that identify the dogs. And the mistakes that I made were in the fact that before I even knew about SDF, I was trying to correct behavior at the shelter for dogs to try to make them adoptable. And there's nothing wrong with that. However, for SDF, Search Dog Foundation, you don't want dogs that are necessarily well behaved for a family. You all want dogs that are barky, that want the toy and will do literally anything to get the toy. You want the dog to jump up on the table to get the toy. You will pass or fail a dog based on the fact that the dog won't do that. And so really I was making a mistake with my very first dogs of trying to make them ready for a home when in fact they weren't wired for that. They were wired to be superheroes. And now when I see a dog that might be a candidate, I like take all my gloves off, metaphorically, and just let him or her be the dog that they are and see what they are before I start putting stuff on them. So let's talk about the tests. What would be the first test? And when I say test, Search Dog Foundation asks me, and I'm sure they ask everybody, to video record. We all have these amazing cameras in our pockets these days with video capability. And you ask to videotape a couple of simple tests so you can identify which dogs might be candidates. So let's talk about like the first test that you might recommend somebody do.
Yeah. So there's one test in particular that is sort of our baseline for toy drive and possession. And of course, the word drive has connotation, depends on who you talk to, what that word means. So we kind of like to think of it as like a toy focus, an intense toy focus. I think that helps create a good picture. And this retrieves and possession test needs to take place in a new space for the dog, which we recognize can be challenging at a shelter. But we also give our partners the flexibility to do it, say, in an inside space. So a hallway that the dog's never been to, or a conference room or training room or anything like that, even a veterinary suite, if it's appropriate and it, kind of works out that way. So what this test entails is playing a retrieve game. So playing fetch with the dog. If they're not a natural retriever or they like to play the keep away game, we recommend 2 toys, very similar, if not the exact same toy. So say 2 tennis balls. And what you're going to do is use that second tennis ball to entice the dog to come back with the first one, or entice them to drop the first one to begin with if they like to play keep away. So you're going to do 4 throws. So 4 retrieves out, dog brings it back. That's number 1, 2, 3, 4. Then keeping the same kind of game going. And the whole time you can be like, yay, good dog, awesome, cheering them on, making it happy. On the 5th throw, you have someone start a timer, or you can do it yourself if you're very fancy, as you're videoing all this. And on that 5th throw, you start a minute timer. We want to see in a brand new spot for the dog without the toy moving anymore. It's not a prey object any longer. It's just still, we want to see what they do with that toy. Possession comes in many forms. It could be a physical possession. The dog keeps it in their mouth. They carry it around with them. It could be a mental possession. They bring it back to you and drop and stare at you endlessly. They might bark at you endlessly. Basically wanting the broken human to throw the toy again. They might lay down with it, put it in between their paws, hang out for that full minute. And again, during this minute, we are completely quiet. Everybody in the vicinity is quiet, ignoring the dog, letting them do with that toy what they will. Obviously, if they start to tear it apart, you might have to intervene that way, but hopefully that won't happen. And yeah, we just want to see what happens. So what we're gaining from this exercise, which only will take about 2.5, maybe 3 minutes, is we're seeing intensity for going after the toy in the retrieves portion. We're seeing intensity potentially in bringing the toy back to the human. What does that look like? And of course, we're seeing the possession. We need our dogs to want to possess the toy. They want it so badly. And again, various types depending on breed types, genetics, the whole nine. And the new environment piece is also super important. So we want our dogs at any time, anywhere, come on out of a truck, off a transport, what have you, see their toy and be like, we're going to play, yay. In fact, some of our dogs that are transported by air, especially, tend to come out of a plane. They're literally on a tarmac. We utilize some private volunteer pilot groups, so it's quite fabulous. And they see a ball or a toy, and they're like, we're playing. And we're like, okay, but you need to potty. And they're like, no, we're going to play. Literally, brand new spot, off the transport, like ready to go. And that's what we look for. So hopefully that testing is really important to us. And it's just step one.
So, right. That's what I was going to say. That's just one test. You're listening to The Animal Agenda on KPFK. I'm Tom Kiesche, and today I'm speaking with Katie Brennan from SDF. We're discussing all things search dog.
Yes.
And I can say for those listening who are possibly interested in finding a dog at the shelter you volunteer with or the rescue, or even your own dog, if it's too much dog for you and you don't want to bring it to a shelter, and maybe this is a solution, that's just one test. And what I find most useful to me is to do it with 3 people. And it sounds like a lot of people, but one person's handling the dog, one person's doing the camera, and the other person for the other tests is very needed, because the tests do get more involved. And you want to be able to focus the camera on the dog the entire time. And so while you're doing the ball throwing and looking at the clock, you can't do everything.
A lot.
So I recommend 3 people, minimum 2, but 3 people is the best way to go. So that's test 1. What's test 2?
Yeah. So we want to see reactions to a friendly stranger, a new person. We want to see reactions to a strange but neutral dog. And I mean new by strange, so new dog. And with those tests, very, very easy to conduct. The first one, the stranger reaction, new person goes up to the dog's kennel or crate, depending on kind of what setup you have going on, and basically leashes them up to take them out. That's all we want to see. Their base reaction, no treats, no toys, no obedience. I know some like the dog to sit at the kennel, which I totally understand. But for this, we don't want it. We just want, boom, this is their natural reaction. Same with the dog reaction. We want to see their natural reaction while they're out and about on leash with a handler to seeing a dog from afar. They don't have to meet. We don't need that kind of thing. We just need to see that base reaction for when they see a dog. Obviously, neutral is important. We want our other dog to remain neutral, ideally, and not bark at the other. But, you kind of work with what you get sometimes. Some dogs don't care at all, so it works out for us.
So let me clarify that. They don't have to be superheroes in dog play groups or playgroup rock stars. They just have to be, they can be avoidant, they can be neutral, they could not have a play style at all, but they have to be able to get along around other dogs.
Correct. And some of our dogs are quite pushy around other dogs. Yeah. They don't mean anything by it. That's just who they are. So we have some dogs that we do play group on our campus. Some dogs love it. We test all of them for it. We kind of feel them out. Some dogs are like, this is fine. And then others are like, no, I really have absolutely no use for this. Like, I want to play with my human. So the way we think about it for our dog reaction is no overt fear, aggression, reactivity. And all of this, again, no obedience, which I know can be a lot depending on the dog. Right. No treats, no toys, natural reaction. Again, each of these videos could take 20, 30 seconds. We don't need anything crazy or lengthy.
Right. It's just for you. And let's tell us again, what do you do as a career? What is your position?
So myself as a human, I'm the Canine Recruitment Outreach Manager.
So it's for you in that position to look at a dog you'll never meet, possibly because you're in Philadelphia, correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
To recommend to go to a facility in Santa Paula or Santa Paula in California. So that's what these videos are for. is to give you an accurate picture so you don't waste the dog's time, the volunteers' time, the staff's time, or all that money. Now, we're going to go back to the tests in a second because we're only at 2 or 3. It depends how you count the second one.
Right.
I love this about your program, SDF. This is my favorite thing. Do you have any idea what I'm going to say it is?
There's so many things, Dom.
No, there are so many things. But my absolute favorite thing is once a dog goes in the program, what am I about to say?
They are cared for their lifetime.
They are cared for forever. If they wash out, if they don't have the right makeup for search dogs, SDF takes care of those dogs and finds them the right place for them, the right home for them. So
absolutely,
like, if you're looking for a dog that has a high toy drive but didn't quite make it through, but checks a lot of boxes, you can adopt a dog through SDF, correct?
Yes, 1,000%. Yeah, and that's one of the one of the things that we are kind of doing, and it's evolving over time as we create more contacts in working dog organizations that are utilizing shelter and rescue dogs or seeing these benefits. What we're sort of doing is redefining success. So of course, if, and we feel it too, we want all of these dogs that come in to be search dogs. We want them to. The country needs it. There's no shortage of, there is a shortage of these dogs. So, for us, we always want it. But at the end of the day, success is being driven by the dog. So if they are happy, it is a success. And we are very fortunate that we are 100% success rate. So we can say that confidently, which is fabulous. But yeah, these dogs will go to other homes, maybe doing performance activities, dog sports. They might even be going to another type of career. So a law enforcement career, conservation, detection career, kind of you name it, we probably placed a dog in it. And we're just always evaluating them and reevaluating them while they're with us in our program to say, are you having fun? Do you love this work? And if not, what might you like? And how can we help you get there? So they always have a home with us, but we don't really need to utilize that, thank goodness. We have a ton of amazing partners out in the career change world. And then of course, our adoptive families are just the best.
I personally love that part. I just think it's amazing that no dog that goes into the program is ever abandoned again, that they are taken care of. One of my favorite dogs that went with you all, you came and met her in person along with another dog. And unfortunately, I don't remember the other dog's name. But she was so amazing, and she had spent so much time in the shelter system, and she was so smart and so misunderstood by so many people. And she had the quickest reactions times of any dog I've ever met. Her name was Baby Wild at the time. Wow. A matter of fact, the first time I took her out with 2 other volunteers because everyone was so afraid of her.
Yeah.
And she moved so fast at one point that we all inhaled at the same time with surprise, and then we stopped and we're like, wait, did she do anything wrong? She didn't do anything wrong. She just moved really quick.
Yeah.
And one time I was going to pet her, and I was thinking about petting her, and I put my hand near her, and she literally put her paws on my lap, kissed my face, put her paws back on my lap, and sat down before I could move my hand and say the word. She was that fast. Her processing was that fast. And you all fell in love with her. But because she was at the shelter for too long and was not identified soon enough, she was too old for search dog, which broke my heart.
I know.
But you took her anyway. And she went into drug enforcement or something like that in Texas or something like that.
Yep. She went with an awesome organization that does a similar thing that we do. And yeah, she's certified. She's got her partner.
She's a hero.
Fabulous.
She's a superhero.
Absolutely.
And so that's one of the, there's no picture, but I literally am. I have tears in the corners of my eyes right now because it's just amazing.
I have a picture. I'm playing off her evaluation in my brain. I see her face. I got it.
You're listening to The Animal Agenda on KPFK. I'm Tom Kiesche, and today I'm speaking with Katie Brennan from SDF. We're discussing all things search dog. If you have a dog that you think might be right, don't hesitate, because there is a time and the dog needs to go save people from rubble piles. And there are people right now trapped somewhere that are waiting for that dog in 5 years. So,
Yes.
or I should say, people trapped 5 years from now that are waiting for the dog. Doesn't matter. So let's go to the next test. Either
Yes.
3 or 2, or I mean 3 or 4, depending on how we're counting. What's the next test that someone should put on video and send Search Dog Foundation?
Absolutely. And just as a kind of easy thing, we have all of this stuff in a PDF with corresponding sample videos, written instruction, the whole nine. So, you know, troubleshooting, everything. So always reach out to us, always fill out that refer a dog form. If you're looking for general information, recruitment@searchdogfoundation.org. Reach on out. Myself or one of my canine recruitment counterparts will reach back out to you pretty quickly, and we'll get things moving. So the next series is our hunt test series, our field hunt series. So again, we want to see that the dog doesn't just want the toy when it's in motion or when it's out kind of in the open. We want to see that if the toy goes missing from their view, they know to naturally turn on their nose to find it that way. Some dogs can have a very, very high, you know, toy focus and intensity, but when the toy goes missing, they're like, what? I don't understand. Where did it go? Human, help me. And that's fine. And again, that doesn't mean they couldn't be a working candidate. It just means for our part, we want to see that natural turn on. And, you know, what we do for this test, it varies greatly depending on where the organization's located, what's around them, the whole nine. So the imagery that I kind of want to kind of paint here in your mind is going to be that of you're holding a dog back. We like a harness for this test because, you know, it can be a lot on the collar. So we like a harness. You're holding a dog back by their harness. You know that they love their ball. You have this beautiful field of tall grass right in front of you. You hold them back. You throw that ball in the grass. You spin them around in a circle because some dogs, especially our gun dog, hunting dog compatriots, they like to mark visually where the ball lands. They're very smart that way. So we want to try to undo that if we can. So you spin them in a circle, you let them go. We want to see that they run full force into that field. And when they realize they can't see it, they start to hunt. Like nose down, maybe nose up, depending on kind of what the weather's doing and all that good stuff. But we want to see that they are furiously looking, like intensely looking. They are desperate. Desperate is the perfect word to describe it, to find their toy. Whether or not they find it, another story. Even if they don't find it, that doesn't necessarily mean they're a bad candidate. It just means maybe it was in a really hard spot for the dog. Obviously, they've probably never done anything like this before, so they might be a little bit confused, but still like trying their hardest. And that would be kind of a dog that we would say, all right, great, let's try again. Let's see if, you know, we don't throw the ball out quite as far or what have you. So the next part of this, again, we're keeping my field in view in your mind. Hold the dog back, throw the ball out again. Ideally not in the same exact spot as the first throw. You hold them for 15 whole seconds. So you got someone with a timer. Tom, you mentioned multiple people. This is where that comes in. Yeah. We love a few people for this exercise. And after 15 seconds, whoever's timing that will say spin. You spin the dog around in a circle, just move your whole body around. It's easier that way. Let them go. Again, we want to see a few things. On that delay, when they are being held back, again, this is a dog that's probably never done this before. We want to see that reaction, though. We want to see them potentially whining, pulling, maybe barking, something to show their frustration, because utilize that in their search training from the get-go. And then what we want to see is same thing. They rocket off into that field. They turn on that nose. Now it should be more immediate. They played the game once, but man, these dogs are smart, aren't they? And we want to see that same intensity, that same desperation to find the toy. Awesome. That went well. Great. Love that. Now you're going to do a third time. For a full minute, you hold that dog back. So again, grab them by the harness, throw the ball. Again, a different spot is ideal. Wait a full minute. Your timer says spin, turn them around, and they're off to the races. We want to see an increase, even with that long delay, an increase in frustration. We want to see an increase in hunt intensity and desperation. And yeah, we just want to see them doing their thing. Now, of course, you might not have a tall, like field of tall grass. So we recommend you can use a wood line. You can utilize objects if you kind of scatter them throughout a yard. Basically anything that would cause the ball to be hidden, but we still need a wide kind of area. We don't want to make it too easy for the dog. One of the things we'll test for is we want to see them persist. So if you were to send me videos and all of the hunts are very, very quick, I'm going to ask you to do more. And we're going to need to see at least like a 30-second hunt. We want to see, again, the puzzle's hard, but they're still persisting. They're still wanting to get there and get to their toy.
Okay, Katie. Unfortunately, we're getting towards the end again.
I know.
And I love all this. And what's important for people to know, if you didn't get all that, and there's a lot there.
Yes.
Go to searchdogfoundation.org. Take a minute, take 10 minutes. Look at the programs, look at the tests, watch the tests, watch them a second time. Mm-hmm. Get on the same page with at least one other person, but I say 2 other people, because you're spinning dogs, you're throwing balls, you're watching a timer. You got to keep the video on the dog at all times. I do have to say, one of my other mistakes that I made was when we threw the ball out there and we spun the dog and we let the dog go. In the beginning, I made the mistake of encouraging the dog to find the ball. Mm-hmm. That is a mistake. The dog has to find the ball and be motivated by its own self, because no one's going to be out there in the field on the rubble pile in the world. The dog has to find the person, or the person doesn't live. So it's life and death, and that's what it's about. And these dogs are heroes, and you all are heroes because of this program. And once again, we're wrapping it up. So I just want to say, thank you for all you do. Thank you to all the people that find these superheroes out there. Thank you for all the people that train these superheroes. Thank you for Search Dog Foundation and the people that set it up. And you can hear about that in the first program, or go to searchdogfoundation.org and read about it. And they are funded by donors like you. Mm-hmm. And it's just an amazing program. So thank you so much for all you do. And I have a little crush on the program. I have to admit it. I just think it's amazing. And I just want to find the right candidates for y'all. Yeah.
Hey, and we literally cannot do it without our eyes and ears in the shelters and rescues.
This is Tom Kiesche, and you've been listening to the Animal Agenda right here on KPFK 90.7 FM in Los Angeles, or streaming online. My guest has been Katie Brennan, the Canine Recruitment Outreach Manager of Search Dog Foundation. Special thanks to producer Marlena Bond. Please support listener-sponsored KPFK by donating online at kpfk.org. We truly appreciate it.